Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Islamic podcast. I just recently saw this debate or slash discussion between Andrew Tate and Piers Morgan.
But why? Why would you do that?
And I thought it was interesting, and I figured I should just cover it.
I want to turn to the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. What is your view of this war?
I think when you call it a war, you're doing a disservice to the people who are having their limbs blown off by some of the most advanced technical weaponry on the planet. It is a genocide and it's disgusting. It doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum you fall on. When you observe a genocide in front of your very eyes, you should be disgusted.
Which side is waging genocide?
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
The Israelis are genociding the Palestinians, and you know it as well as everybody else
know
does. Well, then it seems like your bosses are not allowing you to know it.
The most fundamental reality is pain. If you're in pain, that's what you got.
Look at this dude. First things you guys have to keep in mind is that first you have to establish the fact that why Palestinian land actually belongs to the Palestinian, right? The reason the Palestinian lands actually belong to the Arabs or Palestinian Arabs that are native to the land is because of this. This is basically in Boston University archive. This is the following. In order to enlist the military and political support of the Arabs, Britain promises to support their struggle for independence in most of the lands hitherto ruled by Ottoman Turks, presumably including Palestine. So basically what happened is that the Arabs helped the Brits against the Ottomans. As a result, the British promised the Arabs that they will help them gain independence in all the different land. There's actually a letter. So this is a letter that was written by, that is known as the McMahon letter. It was written by Sir Mehdi McMahon, who was a British High Commissioner in Cairo, writing on behalf of the British government. So here are the things that he promised the Arabs. Subject to the above modifications, Great Britain is prepared to recognize and support the independence of the Arabs in all the regions within the limits demanded by the Sheriff of Makkah. So this says, and support the independence of the Arabs in all regions, including Palestine. So yeah, basically the Brits, they promised the Arabs that they will help them establish a state, independent state, in Palestine. And then later on went back in their words and they betrayed them.
Traitor!
So if you're ever in a discussion or debate on this topic, the thing that you have to do is prove genocide. Yeah, here we go. New Deputy Defense Minister called Palestinians animals. By the way, this guy is a minister. Just in case you guys are confused. He's supposedly a rabbi and he's a minister. This is what he said. Ben Dahan, as part of the coalition agreement reached between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Jewish Home Party on Thursday, MK Eli Ben Dahan, a rabbi who's made controversial statement about Palestinians, announced he will serve as Israel's next deputy defense minister. So this guy is a defense minister. So he's not just some random person. Ben Dahan has made controversial remarks about Palestinians while discussing the resumption of peace talks to a radio interview in 2013. Ben Dahan said that, to me, they are like animals. They aren't human. So like, like how confusing is it? Like, they're saying it openly. They're literally saying it. They're saying that Palestinians are not humans. Of course, when you have a situation where you have a lot of like animals, you can kill the animals. Like, it doesn't matter. This is genocidal intent because obviously you cannot just go around killing civilians. But if you think that these aren't civilians, then clearly you can kill as much as you like. So this is clear genocidal intent. This pure racist garbage. And here Piers Morgan is saying which side is genocidal. So all of this, if you combine them, then it clearly shows that these people have genocidal intent. Because first, have a system where only one race of people are allowed to be citizens in their country, unequivocally, like without any condition, where other races of people aren't. So we have two laws for two different people. So it's an apartheid state. Number two is that they show clear genocidal intent. Again, their ministers have come out and said that, they've invoked Amalek, which is a clear example of genocide.
You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible, and we do remember and we are fighting.
And of course, like their races, as I just showed you guys, their ministers are openly saying that Palestinians are animals. So all of this prove genocidal intent.
I think of what Hamas did on October 7th.
Why are you starting the story in the middle?
I just asked you about the wider war. I'm now asking specifically about
I
Hamas.
cannot professionally answer that question without talking about the context that led up to October 7th.
Well, nothing to my mind.
Yeah, and then they'll bring up the October 7 nonsense. And again, like we've talked about this, like the reason they do this is because they want to completely decontextualize the situation. Before October 7, and I talked about this, there have been many examples of violence against Palestinians. Nearly 200 to 300 innocent civilians were killed shot by the IDF in West Bank and other places. Countless houses has been displaced. They stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque. Imagine this, right? Imagine that if I'm in a country and I'm being attacked, like what do you expect me to do? Of course, I'm going to defend and then I'm going to go on counteroffensive. That's exactly what happened. These guys are like, they're just sitting around, or the Israelis just peacefully, drinking their tea and eating fake hummus, and they just all of a sudden attacked. That's not what happened.
Forget the fact I'm a Muslim. You're talking to a man who is fighting oppression to the best of his ability because he believes that the people in charge of the world are enslaving us all, to the point where I detriment my own life. I end up in a jail cell because I'm speaking against oppression. Then you're asking me what I would do if my family was blown to pieces?
You're not in a jail.
You're asking me what I would do if another government came along and blew my family to pieces?
You weren't put in a jail cell because of any oppression.
Absolutely, I was.
You were. Of course, you were put in a jail cell because you've been accused of serious sexual
I would not
crime.
have been accused if I was not monumentally successful in speaking the truth.
Let me ask you again. It's a simple question.
So what they're saying is that because some members of Hamas have committed crimes, therefore all of Hamas is guilty of crime. That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy known as history generalization. So basically what this fallacy entails is that you take a particular small number of people and their actions, and then you generalize a whole group based on that. Obviously, that's logically fallacious. You can't do that. You cannot judge a whole group of people by a smaller number of people. Okay, it's this one. Now, it is completely justified if you say things like, okay, I want particular Hamas members to be punished or at least brought to justice based on the crimes they committed under some kind of international law, in a court, in a proper court system. However, what doesn't justify is to label Hamas as an entire organization, as a terrorist group, and try to kill all of them. Like, that is psychopathic. That is psychopathic. Like, imagine this, right? Imagine you're a cop and one of the cops shot a civilians. Will you then in this case kill all cops in the district? No. That's obviously absurd. You bring people who have committed the crime in justice, but the ones who are innocent, you try to negotiate with them. The reason they're doing this is not because they want to dismantle Hamas or anything like that. It's because they hate Arabs and they want to kill as many as possible, which makes much more sense than to say that they're doing this because because of Hamas, as if because the thing is that if that was the case, they would have talked to Hamas and said that, hey, who are the people that were responsible for this, and let's bring them to justice. That's not what they're doing. What they're doing is completely absurd, which is that punishing an entire group based on the crimes of a few.
Do you believe Hamas are a terror organization?
And that's a very interesting question, but I think you're peddling asininities.
So just answer the question.
Could somebody do me a favor? Google asininities and find out if it's
I know what it means.
If it's not, make sure it's added to Webster. I'll use word.
Actually, you know what? Let me Google asininity. Asininity. Definition of asininity: the quality of being asinine, stupidity combined with stubbornness.
You're in pain. It's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are. And you get these casual insults, these
asininities.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, at this point, Piers Morgan got slapped so hard by so many pro-Palestinians. It's embarrassing at this point.
Are they a terror group?
You're peddling asininities because I'll tell you why. Let me answer.
No, not.
Of course you are.
Simple question.
That's like me asking.
Tell you why I ask, because the UK, where you were born, prescribes Hamas as a terror
They also
organization.
prescribe me as dangerous to children in schools. Let me explain something to you, Piers.
You're not
If I were to
prescribed
say-
as
Yeah, that's a good point. If you go by this kind of appeal to authority fallacy, which is that whatever the authority says is right, then there are a lot of countries that don't recognize Israel as a country. So that will you then dismiss Israel and their right to exist? So it's like a bizarre logic. As a matter of fact, I think I can show you guys a wiki page that shows how many people actually don't recognize Hamas as a terrorist organization. Go to this wiki page and you go to the countries that recognize Hamas. Here we go. So these are the countries. According to Tobias Bach, Hamas is listed as a terrorist organization by Israel, the US, and the EU, but few dare to treat it that way now. In the Arab and Muslim world, it has lost its pariah status, and its MNS are welcome in the capitals of Islamic countries. While Hamas is considered a terrorist group by several governments and some academics, others regard Hamas as a complex organization with terrorism or some militant component. So these are the countries that recognize them as terrorists versus what the ones that do not. So if Australia and all these kind of like green countries are basically don't recognize them as terrorists. For example, you have Iran, India, Jordan, and then you have Norway. So all of these countries, most countries actually don't recognize Hamas as like terrorist organization. So these people are actually in the minority.